Now I'll go for full screen. Now some questions will come out one by one. Okay, whoever knows the answer, please unmute your mic and answer that. Others, please keep your mic muted so that there is no disturbance. Okay. The first question that comes is, what is a local anesthetic agent? What is the definition of a local anesthetic agent? It is open to all. Anybody can answer who knows the answer. It is not only for Dr. Anirudh and Muttumani. The entire audience, anyone want to answer can answer. What is the definition of a local anesthetic agent? Am I audible? Are you all able to see? Are you able to see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We are able to see the screen, sir. Participants can unmute yourself whenever you want to answer.
Okay, then
It blocks the nerve conduction.
It blocks the nerve conduction. Any other additional features or adjectives?
Agent after its application, there won't be any response to stimulus.
Okay. Right.
Producing a sensory motor and autonomic.
Sensory motor autonomic. ஸோ யாரும் புக்கை படிக்கல, அவங்கவுங்க உங்களோட ஓன் டெஃபினேஷன் சொல்றீங்க. எக்ஸாமுக்கு அதை சரிப்பட்டு வராது. யூ ஹாவ் டு ஆன்சர் ஃப்ரம் த புக். ஓகே, ஸோ ஷால் ஐ கிவ் தி ஆன்சர்? Local anesthetic agents are compounds which reversibly block conduction of impulses in a nerve fiber beyond the point of application. This is the correct definition of a local anesthetic agent. Local anesthetic agents are compounds which reversibly block. It is not a permanent blockade. That is a very, very important point. Just like general anesthesia, you say it's a reversible suppression of consciousness. Okay, you make the patient temporarily unconscious. That is general anesthesia. Similarly, local anesthetic agents reversibly block the conduction of impulses in a nerve fiber beyond the point of application. That is a very important point, because for example, if you block the median nerve at the elbow, only distal to the elbow it will be blocking. Whereas in the arm, if there is a nerve supply, I mean there is a branch giving from median nerve, it will still be working. So that is the important two adjectives that you have to add is they are local compounds which reversibly block conduction beyond the point of application. Okay. What are the main classes of local anesthetic agents?
Amide and esters.
Amide and esters. Is that the correct answer? Many books say like that, but should you add something else to that answer? What is this amide and what is the ester do? They link two groups. Okay, they are not just there. Amide linked on ester linked. So if local anesthetics are mainly classified as ester linked drugs or amide linked drugs. For that you have to know the structure of the local anesthetic agent. So this is the local anesthetic agent. You can see there is an aromatic group and there is an amine group, and these two groups are linked either by an ester or an amide, and the formula for ester is C double bond OO, and for this amide is NHCO. Okay, so this amine group NH is there in the amide linked, and this is only a ester. COO is a ester. So this is the structure of the local anesthetic agent. So they are classified mainly as ester linked and amide linked. Simply saying ester and amide is not the correct answer. You have to say it is a linking chain. So how do you explain the structure activity relationship of a local anesthetic drug? What is the importance of these two groups, the aromatic and the amine group, which is linked by the ester link or amide link? What is the individual role of these three subunits of our structure of this drug? Hmm? Class is silent.
Hydrophobic and hydrophilic.
சொல்லுங்க. Come without. You are right. You are one group. Which is hydrophobic and which is hydrophilic or lipophilic? So you can say there is a one group is lipophilic, very attached to the fat. One group is hydrophilic, attached to water. Okay.
Aromatic is lipophilic.
Aromatic
Amine
is lipophilic and amine is
Amine is
hydrophilic. Very good. So this is the function of these two groups. One makes it affinity, get attached to the fat. One gets it dissolved in water so that they can exert their affection. What is the role of this ester or amide linkage? They keep them together before their action. What is their role after their action is completed? Supposing you want to deactivate or remove the, make it lose the action or metabolize it, what should you do? ரெண்டு பேர் ரொம்ப சீரியஸா லவ் பண்றாங்க, அவங்கள பிரிக்கணும்னா என்ன பண்ணணும்? The link உடைச்சு விட்டுறணும். So you break the linkage to metabolize the drug. Okay. So as long as the drug is active and powerful, the link is working to keep it together to exert its lipophilic and hydrophilic actions. Once the duration of action is over, the drug is metabolized by breaking that linkage using an enzyme. And that is how you deactivate or metabolize the drug. Okay. So each one has got a role. The aromatic ring has got a lipophilic action. The amine ring has got a hydrophilic action, and the linkage is there to hold them together before they exert their action. And that breakage of the linkage is the method of metabolizing the drug. Okay, so each one has got a role there. So the lipophilic and hydrophilic character of the local anesthetic drug depends on the alkyl substitutes on or near the tertiary amine and on the aromatic ring. What do you mean by alkyl substitutes? What are the examples of alkyl substitutes? Basic school chemistry. It's a chemistry all of you would have studied in your high school, gone through your exams, wrote NEET or not NEET, and then join medical school, passed MBBS, and have come to PG level. So the alkyl groups are methyl, ethyl, propyl, and butyl. And you can see in the methyl, the formula is CH3. Ethyl is C2H5. Propyl is C3H7. And butyl is C4H9. So as the number of carbon and hydrogen increase, the alkyl substitute becomes longer and longer or bigger and bigger. Okay? So this, when it is attached to that, it makes it the more lipophilic or less lipophilic. So if you see the lidocaine, it has, hello, some disturbance. So lidocaine is having the ethyl group at the amine level. It is C2H5, and mepivacaine has got methyl group, M for M, methyl group in mepivacaine, CH3 at the, this is the attachment, CH3 here, C2H5, and bupivacaine has got the butyl. So bupivacaine butyl, C4H9, ropivacaine propyl. Okay. So this is the important alkyl substitute which makes them very important for their action as well as the hydrophilicity or the lipophilicity. Okay. Now, what do you mean by lipophilicity of a local anesthetic drug? And how else, what is the other name for this? Lipophilicity means it is affinity for fat. Where is the fat?
Cell.
See, nerve.
Lipid layer of cells.
Phospholipid layer. Any cell membrane has got a phospholipid layer, which is a fat. You know, cholesterol and fat is the constituent of the cell membrane, whether it is axonal or other cell membrane. All of them are made of phospholipid. So that lipid affinity should be there for the local anesthetic agent. If it is very affinity, it has got a good affinity to fat, will it be equally affectionate to or afflicted to the water also, or will it be having an opposite action? Any drug which is attached to the fat will not have affinity for water. Okay, so it can also be called hydrophobicity. So it will be against water. So lipophilicity indicates the drug's affinity to lipid membranes of the cells. This is also referred to as hydrophobicity, against water. So how can hydrophobicity be increased or lipophilicity be increased? Answers at all. Again, I showed in the earlier one, by increasing the alkyl substitutes, you can increase the affinity for fat. What is the character of a drug which is more hydrophobic or alkyl fat loving drug? A local anesthetic which has, it is more potent. Very good, excellent. So, and duration of action also will be longer. So, drugs which have high affinity for fat will be more potent and have a longer duration of action. Okay. Now, next important thing is, what is pKa of a local anesthetic agent? It's a very common question that you can expect in the exam.
pH at which 50% of the drug will be ionized.
Very good. pKa is what is the complete expansion for pKa, or what is called dissociation constant. It is called dissociation constant, and it is the pH at which 50%
both ionized and
unionized forms are in equilibrium. Very good. That's the pKa of the drug. pKa of a local anesthetic drug means the pH at which the unionized and ionized forms or portions of the drug are in equilibrium. Now, what are the differences between ester linked and amide linked, or esters and amide? As because of space, I have not put it as linked. But you should always learn to mention that as ester linked and amide linked. What are the differences between these two? Are we using any ester linked drugs nowadays? In our practice, do we have any ester linked local anesthetic agents we are using? Short acting drug, especially for daycare procedure, we are chlorprocaine. Yes, that is an ester which has come back into market. But which is the oldest ester amide or local anesthetic which was first of all used for local anesthesia?
Cocaine.
Cocaine, excellent. Cocaine. Who introduced cocaine into local? Who was the person who was responsible for knowing that cocaine has got local anesthetic property and start using it for surgeries?
Sir, Carl
Kroller. கார்லர்லாம் இல்ல, ஆரல் கால். பாவம் பேரெல்லாம் கரெக்டா சொல்லுங்க. அவன் பாவம் எவ்வளவு கஷ்டப்பட்டு வாயில நுழையாம ஒரு பேரை வச்சிருக்கான். அதை நம்ம தப்பா சொல்லக்கூடாது. ஓகே, கார்ல் க்ரோலர், KARLKROLLER. Which country he belongs to? Whether he is an anesthetist, surgeon?
Ophthalmic surgeon from Czechoslovakia.
From Vienna. Okay.
Austrish.
Vienna. Yeah, he's a ophthalmic surgeon. So you know the story how he found out that cocaine has got the local anesthetic action. Actually, he was working as an assistant to Sigmund Freud. Have you heard of that name? Sigmund Freud? He's a psychiatrist. Very good. So Sigmund Freud was working on cocaine addiction, because in those days coca leaves were very much easily available. People used to take it as just like what is called the recreation drug. Okay, erythroxylum coca used to be available, and they were using it as an what is called the party drugs. They were using it as for enjoyment. And they started getting addicted to that drug. So Sigmund Freud was actually doing a research on that, and Karl Kroller was originally working as even though he was an ophthalmologist, he was working with Freud on this project. When Freud went to some present a paper in a conference, this man started taking that leaf and put it in his mouth to see what effect it produces. And when he started chewing that leaf, he found that his oral mucosa became numb. And being an ophthalmologist, he was doing some examination of the eye of some patient, and one drop of his saliva fell onto the patient's eye. And patient said, "My eye has become numb." So then he did further research and found out that cocaine is capable of producing local anesthesia, and published it before Freud came back from the conference and got fired from his post because he stole the material from him and then presented the whole thing. Okay, so that is by the way, right? So what are the differences between esters and amides? These are the things that you have to remember. In the ester, it is COO linkage. It is amide NHCO. Very important point is esters are unstable in solution, so they cannot be stored as a liquid anesthetic for a long time, whereas amides are more stable, and esters are less protein bound. So they are more faster acting because free fraction is more, whereas amides are bound to protein more. And metabolism wise, the esters are metabolized by plasma esterases, just like our plasma cholinesterase, they are plasma esterases. What are the other esterases, drugs which are metabolized by esterases? Remifentanil, excellent, right, good. So this is also earlier drug which was metabolized by plasma esterases, whereas amides are metabolized by an enzyme called amidase in the liver. It is not metabolized in the plasma, okay? And high incidence of allergy to ester linked. That is the main reason why it became unpopular. Why this allergy happened? What is the cause of this allergic reaction to ester local anesthetic, ester linked local anesthetic agents? What is the metabolic product which caused the allergy?
Histamine release.
My God, new theory. PABA, para-aminobutyric acid. Most of the ester-linked drugs were metabolized to a compound called para-aminobenzoic acid, PABA. Okay, that is a more powerful allergen, and that is the reason why this drug became unpopular, and we are not using it very much. And amides very low incidence of allergy. If at all allergy happens, it is due to what is the cause of allergy to a amide linked to local anesthetic agent? Is it due to the amide linked local anesthetic drug per se or some other reason?
The preservative.
Methyl paraben. Somebody earlier said, for ketamine, methyl paraben. No, it is the methyl paraben for local anesthetic, which is the cause for the allergy, if at all. But per se, amide drugs are non-allergic, right? So these are the differences. Sometimes you have to get in the theory exam, you may have to remember. Now, what is Henderson-Hasselbalch equation and what is its role? This is another important point. We have to have a very clear concept. What is it used for? Most of the books we know, Henderson-Hasselbalch is also asked as a repeated short note question in the theory paper. Is it a single person or two persons who found out or described this equation? 2 persons. Yeah, hesitation because there is a dash in between. No, if it is one person's name, na, and the nadula dash varadhu. Henderson-Hasselbalch says because it is the 2 persons, we have one person is called Henderson, other person is called Hasselbalch. Majority of the equations in physics, chemistry, or even in our medicine, simultaneously in 2 different places, people will find out the same. They come out with same findings. And both will publish more or less within a gap of 1 year or 6 months or 2 years. So they attribute, or give the credit to both of them, both the finders. So the majority of them, for example, Hagen-Poiseuille law, which we talk about in physics. Hagen-Poiseuille law, where do we use it?
Laminar.
Laminar flow and turbulent flow, resistance to flow. Radius is very important for IV flow also. Hagen-Poiseuille law. That again 2 persons, one Hagen and another Poiseuille. Okay, so all name, like if there is a hyphen in between, you have to know that it is by 2 persons. Okay, right. So what is this Anderson-Hasselbalch equation, what is it used for? You can find out the pH using the pKa, or you can find the pKa using the pH. Okay, that is the interchangeable finding that you can find out. So for an acid pH, the formula will be pKa plus log of ionized form divided by unionized form. And for a base pH, you have to pKa will be log of unionized to ionized form. This is very important because it tells you the relationship between the pKa and the pH. So what should be the ideal relationship between the pH and pKa? This dissociation constant and pH, what should be the ideal relationship? Ideal relationship, both should be equal. For example, our body pH is 7.4. So if the pKa is also 7.4, major portion or majority 50% will be unionized and 50% will be ionized form. What is the importance of these two forms of any drug, unionized and ionized? And first of all, what we should understand, what is this term ionized and unionized mean?
Unionized is lipophilic, sir.
Without unionized is lipophilic. Why? Correct. Your answer is correct. Why it is lipophilic?
Process the cell membrane easily.
Lipophilic na crosses the cell membrane. How would that question? Lipophilic irundha cell membrane kulla pova mudiyum with unionized form. That means it should not have any charge. Cation charge should not be there. Okay, that will attract and remove. Okay, so the basic concept you have to have a very clear idea is unionized form, that is without electrical charge, is more lipophilic, or affinity to fat is more. So it will first of all mix with the cell membrane or neuronal membrane, stay there for some time, and migrate towards the cytoplasm of any cell, whether it is neuronal cell or ordinary cell, okay, or cardiac cell, whatever cell is there. The unionized form without an electrical charge is the only form which can bind to the cell membrane because it is fat soluble or fat affinity more. And then from there it will go traverse into the cytoplasm. And once it goes into the cytoplasm has got more water. So there it will convert itself from unionized form. It will take one proton in the form of hydrogen and become ionized. Once when it becomes ionized only, it can go to the effector site and occupy there to produce its effect. This is the concept that you have to have a very clear understanding. So if the pKa and pH are very close to each other, majority of the drug will be in unionized form. It will be able to enter the cell, get first attached to the lipid membrane, then enter the cell, and then become ionized and then have its action. Okay, so that is farther away from the pH. Supposing your body pH is 7.4 and the drug has got a pKa of 10, very minimal form will be in unionized without charge. So it will not enter the first of all lipid layer at all. It will have to wait for a long time to come closer to the pH and then have more unionized form and then only enter that. So an ideal drug should have a pKa which is very close to its pH. That is the main simple way you have to understand. So this is the whatever I have explained is this is the relationship. For example, lesser the pKa, that is very close to the body pH, faster will be the onset. Higher the pKa, that is farther away from the pH, slower will be the onset. So if you compare lignocaine, the pKa of lignocaine is 7.9, which is only 0.5 away from the pH of the body. Bupivacaine is 8.1, still farther away. Cocaine is 8.6. So among the three, which will be slowest and which will be the fastest?
Cocaine slowest and lignocaine fastest.
Lignocaine will be the fastest. Okay, so the lignocaine will win the race. What is the significance of lipid solubility and protein binding?
Lipid solubility will increase the potency, sir.
Protein binding?
Duration of action.
Duration of action.
Excellent. Protein binding, slower, it will get released slow and have a longer duration of action. So this is the correct answer you are given. More lipid soluble the drug is, more potent it will be. More protein bound the drug is, more prolonged will be its action. Okay. So now coming to, already I have described what is the mechanism of action of local anesthetic drug. So already I have told you that it is the unionized form which can get attached to the cell membrane and enter the cell membrane and then go towards the cytoplasm. So this is the normal action. It acts on the sodium channels of all the cell membrane, especially neuronal cell membrane, where its action is very predominant. So in a normal, the sodium channel has got a activation gate and an inactivation gate. Activation gate on the extracellular site and inactivation gate is towards the cytoplasm. Okay. So in the resting stage, where the normal cell membrane will have a membrane potential of minus 90 millivolts. Once the sodium stimulus arrives, what happens? The external activation gate opens, sodium starts entering. And this inactivation gate is always in the open state initially. So what happens? This is what is called the voltage gated sodium channel. So more sodium is there outside, so more voltage is there. So because of the concentration gradient, it will enter the cytoplasm of the cell. Once it comes, because it carries a positive charge, the negativity will slowly become positive and go up to plus 35 millivolts. Okay? So once this positive charge is reached, what happens? This inactivation door or gate automatically closes after a particular time. Okay? Then no further sodium can come in. And then to neutralize or go back to the old resting membrane potential, it starts pumping out the potassium. Okay, so there is a channel for potassium, so that channel opens. Now, can you find out one difference between the sodium channel and the potassium channel in this picture? How many gates are there in sodium channel?
2 gates.
Two gates. Here, will gate. So here, this is a single. Potassium has got only a single cytoplasmic gate. Okay. So this is mainly, it will extrude the potassium to bring back to the old minus resting stage. Okay. So this is the normal thing that you have to understand. Now, if you look at the mechanism of action of the local anesthetic, the resting stage, this sodium, this is the normal configuration. This is the sodium channel. There is an exclusive site for local anesthetic agent to come and occupy and produce its effect, which is empty now. Okay, and in the resting stage, there is no entry of sodium. And this B plus H, what does it mean? Is it ionized form or unionized form? This portion, BH plus. Ionized form, proton kuda irukku parunga, with the charged B. H plus is a proton attached to the, why it is called B? Why can't we write it as the LaH, local anesthetic with a proton? Always all the books will put only B plus H, BH plus. What is the reason? Because local anesthetic agents are all weak bases. According to the pH, they are weak bases. Okay. So base, what is the meaning of definition of a base and acid? Acid is one which can donate a proton. Base is one which can accept a proton. Okay. So all the local anesthetic agents are weak bases. Adanala always the symbol is put as B and not as L, A or H. So once the proton gets attached, it is called the somebody is So this is called the ionized form. And if it loses this proton, it is a unionized form. It is a simple B. And one beauty of local anesthetic agents is it can interconvert itself into ionized or unionized form depending upon the pH, okay, and the pKa. Okay, so the unionized form, this B only can enter the cell. Okay, so when more number of unionized forms are available, it comes into the cell through the phospholipid membrane because of its lipid affinity. And again, once it comes to the cytoplasm or axoplasm, again it can become ionized by taking a proton. Once it becomes ionized with a proton, it will be able to go and occupy the specific receptor site that is present in the voltage gated sodium channel of the cell membrane, right? So by occupying that, what happens? It will start closing the gate. Like the inactivation gate, it will start closing the gate as long as this drug is there. Okay, so it will not allow the sodium. In the resting stage, no sodium is entering. When it is activated, sodium is entering. Once the local anesthetic is released and it comes to the block the entry point from the cytosolic aspect, the gate length in the gate so sodium is not able to enter. So unless sodium comes in, impulse cannot be transmitted. Okay, that is how the local anesthetic agent acts. So once the metabolism of the drug or blood supply removes the drug slowly over a period of time, then the site will become free, the gate will open, again sodium will come and impulses will start going. So that is the mechanism of local anesthetic activity. Is it clear? Resting, activated and inactivated by the local anesthetic agent. Is it okay? Clear? Yes or no? Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Encouragement. Somebody is asking for this and okay. So summarize the mechanism of impulse blockade. This is a slide I made from the Miller. So this is a large thing one. So there are 6 points given. So majority of the students, because you don't read Miller, I thought it will be useful for exam purpose. Local anesthetics deposited near nerves are removed by tissue binding, circulation and local hydrolysis. So that's what I told you about the drug. Remaining drug penetrates the nerve. Speed and onset of action depends on the drug's pKa and lipophilicity. Local anesthetic drugs bind to specific sites on the voltage gated sodium channel from the cytoplasmic aspect. This is a very, very important point you have to remember. Local anesthetic drugs bind to specific sites on the voltage gated sodium channel from the cytoplasmic aspect, not on the exterior, and also occupy that channel. Sometimes another concept is they say some drug will go sit in the middle, dharna road la pandra mari, it will block the physically block also, apart from occupying the specific site meant for that. So the onset and recovery during that time, the impulse blockade is incomplete because it takes little time to occupy all the specific sites and then block the sodium conduction. Okay, until that time the impulse may be slow. That is why we always wait after giving a block. We wait for some time to achieve complete block. Initially, it will be partially only blocked. So you have to wait and make sure that the block is complete. And binding to the sodium channel site is sufficient to produce both tonic, that is resting, and phasic actions. Rate of onset and recovery are governed by the diffusion of the drug molecules in and out of the nerve. Okay, these are the points which are controlling the activity. Now coming to the next question. What are clinically important properties of local anesthetic drugs? What should be the property of a local anesthetic drug? Should it be potent? Should it be have a long duration or short duration? Okay, so the anesthetic potency is very important. It should be able to have a quick onset of action. It should have a prolonged duration for major surgeries lasting several hours. And it should be able to produce the differential sensory motor blockade. This is what I told you when discussing about the different strengths of bupivacaine we use 0.5, 0.25, 0.125, 0.0625. Labor analgesia we give only 0.0625% because we want only selective sensory blockade and no motor blockade to produce the so-called walking epidural. Okay, so that quality is very important. What is the other neuro drug which has got a similar property?
காவேரி பக்கத்துல இறங்கிற தலைவரா அந்த மாடம் இறங்கிட்டாங்களா காவேரி கட்டாங்களே இல்லையா
ஹலோ
இறங்கிருங்க நான் அந்த பக்கம் போகணும் காரணத்தை பார்ப்போம் எவ்வளவு எனக்கு சொல்லுங்க
Sir, can you repeat the question, sir?
Which is the new drug which is used in our clinical practice which has got a same differential sensory motor blockade? Ropivacaine. Yes, it is available in various strengths. Okay, 0.2, 0.5, 0.75. Okay, depending upon the concentration, it can produce differential blockade like selective sensory blockade, partial motor blockade, complete motor blockade. Okay, so remember these two drugs are capable of that. So, what are the factors influencing the local anesthetic drugs activity?
pH.
pH and pKa, very good.
Lipid solubility, sir.
Lipid solubility, very good.
Protein binding.
Protein binding, excellent. How are they removed from the site? I have told you already. All the points are already given in some way. So, duration of action is dependent on protein binding, lipid solubility, and also the blood supply to the area because it has to be removed by the circulation, okay, and hydrolysis. So, dosage of the lung, addition of vasoconstrictors will prolong the action. Site of injection, because more vascular the area, faster will be the removal. So duration will get lower. Carbonation and pH adjustment. This is one important point you have to know. What is this carbonation and what is pH adjustment? What do you understand by these two things?
By adding bicarbonate, soda
Bicarbonate. Very good.
The onset of action will be faster.
Excellent. So more the alkaline the drug becomes, faster the onset of action. Very good. What do you mean by this carbonation? Now, what commonly the salts? Lignocaine, what is the salt? Bupivacaine, what is the salt of bupivacaine that is used in the mixture or the drug? ஒரு பாட்டில் ஆஃப் ட்ரக் நீங்கள் டைட்டில் எடுத்து பார்த்துட்டு கண்டென்ட்ஸ் ஆர் தி காம்போசிஷன் பார்க்கும்போது என்ன எழுதியிருப்பாங்க? லிக்னகைன் லிக்னகைன் ஹைட்ரோக்ளோரைட், bupivacaine hydrochloride. So commonly they are made as hydrochloride salts. Whereas if it becomes lignocaine carbonate, what is the advantage? What is the formula for a carbonate? CO3 is carbonate, CO2 is carbon dioxide. Okay, so on the CO3 salt, carbonate salt up on what happens? This is of course not in practice now, but earlier they wanted a faster onset of action. So what they did was they converted or manufactured drugs with a carbonate salt instead of hydrochloride salt. So the carbonate CO3 one oxygen will be released and it will become carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide has got a better diffusing capacity or not? CO2, can it enter all the lipid membranes faster or less faster? It can easily enter. That is so. In order to make it faster onset, they made carbonate, but they were not stable in solution. So they became less potent in storage. So that is why this habit has given up. So these are the two things that can influence the local anesthetic drug. And when you mix local anesthetic agents, normally for a brachial plexus block, how do you give the local anesthetic? Do you give pure bupivacaine or pure lignocaine, or you prefer to mix both?
Both.
You prefer to give at least 2/3, 1/3 or 50% of both. Why? Why do you want to mix bupivacaine and local lignocaine?
Onset and
Faster onset, because if you give bupivacaine alone, it will take a long time to act. By the time surgeon may become impatient and he will start painting, and patient may say they are having pain. So in order to have the benefit of both, local anesthetic which can act faster is lignocaine. So you add that. A local anesthetic which have a longer duration but slower onset, you add bupivacaine. So you get the benefit of both by mixing the local anesthetic drug. What about in pregnancy? What happens to the effect of local anesthetic drugs on pregnancy?
metabolism is high.
Metabolism is high. Is that the answer for that? Pregnant patients' nerves are
Hyperdynamic circulation actually.
hyperdynamic circulation. What does it got to do?
Metabolic alkalosis.
Metabolic alkalosis. Basic point.
The faster
Then we increase sensitivity to drugs.
Increased sensitivity. Progesterone makes the nerves for more increased response to the local anesthetic agent. Because what happens to the endogenous ligands or opioids in the pregnant patients? In order to bear the pain of labor, nature has made it such a way that the endogenous ligands act more to block the pain sensation in female. Because of the progesterone, the nerves become more sensitive to all drugs which can block the conduction. Both endogenous ligands like the endorphin and local anesthetic agents. So pregnancy, you give lesser dosage because the nerves are more sensitive because of the effect of progesterone. Okay, so not about the hyperdynamic circulation or not about protein binding and all that. Okay, it is mainly because of the increased sensitivity of the nerve fibers caused by progesterone to local anesthetic agents. Right?
So there is a shorter duration because of the increased circulation.
Removal, that is from the epidural space. It can get removed because of the more spaces of blood. Okay, but this main point is you can give lesser dosage, and that is why we are able to achieve a sensory blockade with even 0.625. Okay, that is the main reason. Okay. Mention a few additives and adjuvants to local drugs.
So fentanyl, morphine.
Alpha agonist,
very good. Very good. So this we have already. So first is vasoconstrictors. Commonly we have epinephrine. So previously they used to have phenylphrine and then phenylephrine. These two we don't have any preparations here in our day-to-day practice, but lignocaine with adrenaline we commonly have. Okay. So what is the concentration of epinephrine that should be added to local anesthetic?
1 in 2 lakhs.
1 in 200,000 or 2 lakhs. For dental, is it the same for dental anesthesia or it is different? Dental surgeons use 1 in 80,000 because it is a rich mucous membrane area where they are dealing. So they want more vasoconstriction, so they use 1 in 80,000. Okay, so the chances of epinephrine or adrenaline toxicity is more. If they inject more volume, you can produce all sorts of arrhythmias and hypertension, more bleeding. All these things can happen. So yeah, that is why the dental local, have you all seen? It comes in cartridges, which will have only about 2 to 3 ml. Okay, so that is in order to avoid unnecessary excessive injection, it comes in a pre-filled cartridges which are used by them. Okay, so you will not exceed both the local anesthetic as well as the epinephrine dosage. And opioids like morphine, buprenorphine, pethidine, tramadol, all these things have been added. Clonidine, dexmedetomidine like alpha agonist. Sodium bicarbonate is added, as somebody said, for quicker onset of action. And what is the other advantage of adding sodium bicarbonate, which we use especially in tumescent local anesthesia? By making the solution more alkaline, it will be less painful for injection. Okay, the acidic solution, if it is directly injected, it is more painful. The first injection is painful. Whereas if you add bicarbonate, the injection pain is less and the onset also is faster. and neostigmine has been added, but because it produces a lot of nausea and vomiting, it is now removed. Ketamine is added. What is the dose of ketamine when you want to add it to the caudal epidural for a post-operative pain relief?
0.5 g per kg.
0.5 to 1 milligram per kg body weight. Okay, so along with the local anesthetic, that is the dose used. Midazolam has been used. Where do you add glucose to local anesthetic?
Spinal anesthesia.
Huh?
Spinal anesthesia.
Hyperbaric. See, this is a very, very important point. Every day when you are giving spinal, both your bupivacaine, hyperbaric, you give it, how much glucose is there?
5%.
My God,
5%.
every day you are giving spinal at least 1 or 2 cases and you have never bothered to read the composition. 80 milligram per ml will be the to make it hyperbaric. In those days we used to have lignocaine hyperbaric also. Nowadays we get only bupivacaine as a hyperbaric. Levobupivacaine is also coming. Whenever you want to make any local anesthetic hyperbaric to CSF, you have to add 80 milligram per ml of the local anesthetic agent. Okay, please read the label tomorrow when you go and give your spinal before you give the spinal. And hyaluronidase, what is the purpose of adding hyaluronidase to local anesthetic agents? Especially in tumescent anesthesia, we mix this.
Tissue spreads.
It will break the tissue barrier and allow the solution to spread faster. Okay, so these are the 9 adjuvants for various purposes. Vasoconstrictor purpose is to prevent rapid absorption and reduce the toxicity and prolong the duration. This is the advantage of adding a vasoconstrictor. Opioid addition gives prolonged pain relief. Alpha 2 agonist prolongs the pain relief. Sodium bicarbonate enhances the action or faster action with less pain on injection. Neostigmine mainly to prolong the analgesia. Ketamine prolong the analgesia. Midazolam prolong the analgesia. Glucose for making it hyperbaric. Hyaluronidase for spreading. So all of them are called additives or adjuvants. So don't imagine in the supposing such a question is asked in the examination, don't think that is you must write only about epinephrine and morphine and all these things. All these things can be written there. Okay.
Sir, what about dexamethasone, sir?
Dexamethasone, yes, that is also one of the drug which is added. I forgotten to add that.
How it will be useful, sir?
Mode of action is not known, but somehow they have found that it is have an indirect effect on the opiate receptors. That is how it has not been proved conclusively. Even for its antiemetic effect, there is no proven mode of action, but it is supposed to act on the vomiting center. So a similar way, this is how we presume that it may be acting on the opiate receptors. Okay, because nowadays the nerves, peripheral nerves also have been proved to have some opioid receptors. That is the reason why they have started adding all the opioid drugs to the local anesthetic infiltration or plexus block also. Okay, right. So the local anesthetics are formulated as hydrochloride salts. Answer for that is they are weak bases. So if you market it just like that, it is not dissolved in water. So it will maybe poorly soluble. So by adding hydrochloric acid and making it a hydrochloride salt, it is made water soluble. And once you make it as a water soluble, the pH becomes to acidic side, like 3.5 or 4. Okay. So when the pH becomes lower or go to the acidic side, then only the liquid form drugs will have a longer expiry date. It will what is called the shelf life. So all the medicinal preparations we have, most of them, they are all having a pH of around 4, which is acidic in nature. Then only they can be stored for 2 years or 3 years. But if they have an alkaline pH, they cannot be stored for more than 24 hours. So some drugs which have a very severe alkaline pH in liquid form will be marketed as powder. Can you tell me what are all the drugs we use which are marketed as powder?
Thiopentone.
Thiopentone, very good. One. Then
Vecuronium.
Vecuronium, excellent. Two.
Hydrocortisone.
Hydrocortisone, 3. இந்த மூணு சொன்னா போதும். Vecuronium, thiopentone, hydrocortisone. Because once you put water and dissolve them and make them into a liquid, they will all have a alkaline pH. So they will not remain stable or potent in liquid form for more than 24 hours. So that is the reason why until you use them, you have to keep them in powder form to have a shelf life of 1 year, 2 years like that. So most of the drugs which are marketed will have only an acid pH for long shelf life. And local anesthetic being weak bases, second reason, they are not water soluble. So to make them water soluble, they are made into hydrochloride salts. And as I told earlier, they tried carbonated salts also, because the carbon dioxide gets released from that, they became important, or the drug action will be lesser. So they discontinued making carbonated, even though their action was much more faster. Okay. Now, tell me a few names of amide linked and ester linked local anesthetic agents. Can you give me some first amide, amino? I mean, this is amino esters rather, ester attached to the amine group. What are the drugs? Procaine, chlorprocaine, tetracaine, and cocaine. Okay, and the examples of amide drugs.
Bupivacaine, lignocaine, ropivacaine.
Ropivacaine. Very good. So all these drugs are. So in the exam, supposing they give procaine and ask you, and you have prilocaine, they ask you, both are similar sounding names, procaine, prilocaine, like that. So one book says that all ester-linked drugs do not have an I in their name. See, the last part of all the local anesthetic is CAINE, caine. Okay. So if you take the amide drugs, amide-linked drug, they will have one I here. Lidocaine has got I, prilocaine has got I, bupivacaine has got an I, ropivacaine has got an I, etidocaine has got an I. Okay. So if the first portion of the name has got an I, it is only amide drug. Whereas the ester drug does not have an I at all. It is egoless. So it is procaine, chlorprocaine, tetracaine, cocaine. There is no I in all these things. So the படிச்சு பார்க்கும்போது procaine கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா don't confuse. இந்த procaine I கிடையாது. அதனால you can be confident it can only be an ester linked drug. Okay. So what is the exception to the normal route of metabolism? I told you earlier, esters are all metabolized by plasma esterases. The amides are metabolized by amidases in the liver. But these two drugs are
Sir, alternate. Cocaine will be metabolized by liver, sir.
Liver esterases.
Articaine will be metabolized
by plasma.
It will be articaine will be
carboxyl esterases. Okay. So cocaine is the only exception among all the ester group of drugs which is metabolized by liver carboxyl esterase enzymes, whereas articaine is the only amide drug which is metabolized by plasma carboxyl. Y is missing here, carboxyl esterases. Okay. Now, how are regional anesthesia classified? Various techniques based on the technique of anesthesia. How can you classify regional anesthesia?
Sir, intravenous regional anesthesia.
Intravenous regional anesthesia, very good. Common முதல்ல இது ரொம்ப காமனா பண்றது என்ன சொல்லுங்க?
Neuraxial.
Central neuraxial blockade.
Peripheral neuraxial blockade.
Peripheral neuraxial blockade or nerve blocks. Okay, right.
Local block.
So you can divide them into infiltration anesthesia, intravenous regional anesthesia, peripheral nerve blockade, central neural blockade, topical anesthesia. See, whenever you want to do a bronchoscopy or blind nasal intubation, you just spray it on the mucous membrane. Or you want to do a cataract surgery, you can just put the drops on the eye. That is what Karl Troller found out. So topical anesthesia is just dropping the local anesthetic on the surface. Tumescent local anesthesia, which is injecting in large quantities of local anesthetic. And systemic, nowadays they give local anesthesia by an IV infusion for neuropathic pain, as well as a component of, where do you use lignocaine IV infusion? Opioid free anesthesia.
Arrhythmic, anti-arrhythmic.
Anti-arrhythmic is only a bolus injection. For continuous systemic infusion, either for chronic pain or as a part of opioid sparing analgesia. So this is a very important point you have to know. What is the toxicity ratio of a local anesthetic drug? Supposing there is a toxicity happening because of local anesthetic drug, either overdosage or because of rapid absorption or direct vascular injection, what will be the symptoms experienced by the patient?
So first CNS will be involved.
Huh?
CNS will be involved.
CNS, what are the
CNS excitatory first involved.
So circumaural numbness, tinnitus, headache,
dizziness,
garrulousness, dizziness, all these things, and then
followed by GTC,
clonic tonic convulsion. Okay, that is the CNS involvement. Then what other system will be involved?
CVS will be involved, sir. It will cause profound bradycardia, particularly bupivacaines.
Which one occurs first, CNS or CVS?
CNS first, sir, followed by CVS, sir.
CVS, very good. So, what now based on these points, what you will say a toxicity ratio of a local anesthetic drug?
CNS by CVS.
CVS by CNS. Okay, it is the ratio of the dose of local anesthetic drug required to produce cardiovascular effects that is required to produce neurological effects. So the dose required for CVS effect divided by dose required for CNS effect is what is called the toxicity ratio. Normally, neurological effects precede or occur first before CVS effects. So, do you know the toxicity ratio of lignocaine and bupivacaine? This is 7 and 3. That means lignocaine toxicity ratio is 7. That means you require 7 times more drug concentration which has produced CNS effect to produce a cardiovascular effect. That is why lignocaine is considered as a safer agent. Whereas for bupivacaine it is only 3, which means you require only 3 more times concentration of the local anesthetic required to produce the neurological effect, to produce the cardiovascular effect. Okay. So more toxic the drug is, the toxicity ratio will be very small, very narrow. The therapeutic index between the lethal dose and the clinical dose. If it is narrow, it is a very, very potent toxic drug. If that therapeutic index is larger, it is safe drug. Similarly, here the toxicity ratio, if the number is big, there is a safe drug. If the number is small, it is a very unsafe drug. Okay. So lignocaine 7, which means 7 times more concentration is required in the blood to produce CVS effect. Whereas bupivacaine requires only 3 more times the concentration required for producing the central nervous neurological effect. What are the features of last? What is that last expansion?
Local anesthetic systemic toxicity.
Local anesthetic systemic toxicity. Very good. So what are all the features of this last?
Features of CNS and CNS sensor.
So CNS toxicity, CVS toxicity, and it can be direct cardiac or direct vascular, and factors which are going to enhance or reduce. If the site of injection is highly vascular, you will have a faster absorption, and chances of toxicity even with the normal calculated dose is very high. Or you mistakenly give too much of a dosage, overdose also can produce, or direct vascular injection during any block, that also can result in enhanced activity. Acidosis and hypoxia, low pH, low protein binding, all these things are factors for enhancing the local anesthetic toxicity. So addition of vasoconstrictors or presence of adipose tissue at the site of injection and use of less toxic local anesthetic drugs like lignocaine, all these things are factors reducing the LA toxicity. Now, what are the other problems apart from this CNS and CVS toxicity? What are the other problems that local anesthetic drugs can produce? For example, prilocaine. What problem it can produce?
Hemoglobinemia.
Hemoglobinemia. Very good. So allergies. Amino esters can produce allergies, and if sometimes they can produce local tissue toxicity also. So at the site of injection, they produce severe vasoconstriction and tissue necrosis and toxicity can happen. So this is another common question the exam they will be asking. Why local anesthetic drugs are not supposed to work or do not work effectively in infected sites? For example, when they discuss about diabetic foot with ischemic abscess, they may ask you, will ankle block can be given?
So acidic pH.
Acidic pH, very good. So the unionized form will be very less, okay, because it is far away from the normal pH. Okay, so in the acidic pH, the pKa difference will become very wide. The local pH will not be normal 7.4, so it drifts down to 6.2, 6.3 like that. So the difference between the pKa and the local pH will be very wide, and that will cause less unionized form. So that local anesthetic will not be able to penetrate the nerve. That is one reason. Any other reason? That is the first and foremost important reason. Any other additional points which will prevent the working of the local anesthetic in infected sites or sites with abscesses? What will be the blood flow when there is an infection or inflammation? Will be more vascular or less vascular?
Less
vascular. ஒரு இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் இருந்தால் அதை ஃபைட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு பாடி ஷுட் சென்ட் மோர் ஒயிட் பிளட் செல்ஸ் அண்ட் மோர் நியூட்ரிஷனா இல்லை வேண்டாம் பரவாயில்ல ஒதுக்கலாம், அது ரொம்ப இன்ஃபெக்டடாக இருக்குது நம்ம போக வேணாங்கன்னு இருக்கிறோமா? ஹவு டஸ் செப்டிசீமியா ஹேப்பன் ஃப்ரம் an infected source? Because of more vascularity. Okay, always before infection there is inflammation, isn't it? So inflammation in the surrounding area will continue. One of the classical triads of inflammation is increased blood flow causing redness, isn't it? So that flow will remove the drug. That is number 2. Number 3, will there be a swelling or not when there is an inflammation and infection? Collar, Ruber, சொல்றது classical pathology teaching. So the infection swelling will remove the make the nerve go deeper. So these are all the 3 points that you have to remember. Infected tissues have an acidic environment. This low pH reduces the unionized fraction of the drugs. Hence, drug is unable to penetrate the nerves. Increased vascularity of the site removes the drug faster, reducing the time available for action. Swelling at the site increases the distance between the nerve and the drug. Okay, so these are all the reasons why local anesthetic may not act on the site of infection. What are the factors responsible for serum concentration of injected drugs?
Inadvertent intravascular infection.
Okay. Again, if there is a rich vascularity,
okay,
that will absorb the drug. So site of injection, technique of injection, presence or absence of additives, and dose injected. Okay. So site of injection, especially when you give a brachial plexus block, you are surrounding with more big vessels are there. So rapid absorption can happen from there. Or intercostal nerve block, that also can have larger absorption. So the technique of injection, you are always supposed to, whenever you inject large volumes of local anesthetic for a block, you have to give it in small volumes, what is called aliquots. The 5 ml or 3 ml, aspirate again, and then give like that. If you repeatedly do that, you will cause less chances of high serum concentration. On the contrary, if you rapidly inject the entire volume in one shot, the absorption will be much more rapid and the serum concentration will rise very dramatically. and additives, if they are present, they will prevent rapid absorption. And of course, you have to calculate the correct dose and inject, otherwise you will cause a overdosage. Now compare the speed of absorption of local anesthetic according to the site of injection. This is another common question they will ask you. Which block will cause a rapid absorption and chances of local anesthetic toxicity? Which is the highest incident you will find? Intercostal block more than caudal, caudal more than epidural, epidural more than brachial plexus, brachial plexus more than sciatic and femoral nerve. So sciatic and femoral nerve are the lowest chances of rapid absorption, whereas intercostal nerve block is the rapid or most common condition where rapid absorption can happen. Okay. So how do you manage local anesthetic toxicity? This is another common question they will ask you.
So in CNS toxicity, adequate oxygenation should be provided.
Very good.
Anticonvulsant should be given.
Very good.
And airway breathing circulation
See,
should
you
be.
are giving a brachial plexus block. First time உங்களுக்கு சான்ஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க, நீங்க பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க. பேஷண்ட்ஸ் எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் நான் வாய்கிட்டெல்லாம் நம்மன்னு இருக்கு சார், தலை சுத்துற மாதிரி இருக்கு சொல்றான். Then what will you do?
Sedation with diazepam and thiopentone.
See, listen to my question and answer, please. Please listen to my question. You are performing a block. You have given 15 ml of the injection. You have taken 30 ml injection. You have given 15 ml. Second time you are loading another 15 ml, ready to give. At the time patient says, my lips are feeling numb. I feel like a slight giddiness. I'm not feeling comfortable. What will you do now?
Stop the procedure.
We have to stop the procedure.
That's first. So always stop further injection. That is the first answer. If you suspect local anesthetic toxicity, because examiners expect this point only. You may be correctly dealing and saving the patient, but in the exam when you want to answer, first answer you should always give stop further injection of local anesthetic drug if you are halfway through the block. Okay, that is the first point. Second is call for help. Don't immediately try to manage heroically everything by yourself. Third point is do ABC survey. If necessary, intubate and ventilate the patient if the patient has become apneic. For example, you give a epidural block and you have accidentally made a subarachnoid injection and the whole drug has gone intrathecally and patient has stopped breathing. Then quickly make an ABC survey, intubate the patient and start ventilating him. Or if he has thrown a seizure, control it with benzodiazepam, thiopentone or propofol. Okay. Now the recommendation is to avoid thiopentone and propofol as much as possible because they cause further cardiac depression. So benzodiazepam is the main drug of choice which you have to use. Midazolam can be used. Then continuous ECG monitoring and treatment of arrhythmia. DC shock if there is a ventricular fibrillation. For example, you have landed up with a lignocaine toxicity and there is a ventricular fibrillation. Can you give Xylocard for correcting the ventricular fibrillation? You have already produced the ventricular fibrillation because of excess dosage of lignocaine. Can it be treated with Lignocard or Xylocard? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, அது சொல்லுங்க. Please answer faster because you cannot give. So if it is a VFib, you have to go for DC shock or you have to, what are the other alternatives for correcting a VFib? If DC shock varla, what is the immediate pharmacological treatment you can give for ventricular fibrillation correction? Without the amiodarone, very good. Amiodarone can be given or another choice? Magnesium sulfate. Right. See, these are all answers which you should have in fingertip. Tuck, 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 right? Then 20% intralipid, especially for bupivacaine. Okay. So what is the dose of that? This is a very common question they may ask you. So the initial bolus dose is 1.5 ml per kg, followed by 0.25 ml per kg IV infusion for 20 minutes. This is while doing the CPR. Supposing there is a cardiac arrest also has happened, So CPR should be started simultaneously along with the intubation and ventilation. And if it is a bupivacaine toxicity, you have to simultaneously administer 20% intralipid. First a bolus of 1.5 ml, that will be about roughly 100 ml for a 70 kg person, and then you give at 1/4, that is about 25 ml to 30 ml as an IV infusion for 20 minutes while continuing CPR. If no return of spontaneous circulation happens, then repeat the same bolus of 100 ml twice at 5-minute interval, followed by 0.5 ml until for 5 minutes. So sometimes bupivacaine toxicity may take even 1 to 1.5 hours to restore the heartbeat. So don't give up. You continue as long as you are able to ventilate and maintain the oxygenation with a effective CPR. You will be able to revive the patient. Okay, so that is the important point that you have to understand. Now, what is intralipid and what is its composition? All of us know that intralipid should be given for bupivacaine. Was intralipid introduced as an antidote for bupivacaine?
No, sir.
No. So what was it used for? So from some other treatment we have borrowed this. What is the treatment? It is initially, it is still today one of the components of total parenteral nutrition, along with amino acids which are given as a protein supplementation and with glucose. Intralipid is the main component of calorie giving part in the total parenteral nutrition. Okay, so originally intralipid was used only for as a part of total parenteral nutrition. Then we found out that the same intralipid is useful for treating bupivacaine toxicity, because bupivacaine occupies the specific receptor site in the sodium channel very avidly compared to lignocaine. So to remove that, you have to, because the bupivacaine is very additive to lipids, you give more lipid outside and try to extract it from the receptor site where it is occupying. That is the mechanism. Okay, so the composition of that is 200 grams of purified soybean oil, 12 grams of purified phospholipid, 22 grams of anhydrous glycerol in a total volume of 1 liter. Okay, so this is the composition, and it is a rich source of omega-6 and 6 essential fatty acids. So this is how it comes in 2 packages, one in bottle of intralipid 20, and this is another collapsible sachets which contain 20%. Okay, so mechanism of action is the infused intralipid functions as a lipid sink and binds the LA drugs, effectively removing them from their target site. Okay, that is how the mechanism acts. Now comes the earlier question. EMLA cream, they answered. What is eutectic mixture? Eutectic mixture, already I told you, it's a Greek word which means eu means well, texis means melting. It is a homogeneous combination of substances in a particular proportion that melts or solidifies at a single temperature which is lower than the melting point of individual constituents. So the example is EMLA cream. EMLA stands for eutectic mixture of local anesthesia cream. Okay. Similarly, we saw one of the techniques of regional anesthesia is tumescent local anesthesia. What is the definition of tumescent local anesthesia? It is the tumescence means swelling. The word tumescent literally means swelling. It is the injection of large volumes of dilute local anesthetic solutions with epinephrine. Okay. So what is the composition? How many of you have used tumescent local anesthesia for surgeries?
500 ml of RL, sir. Then hyaluronase 1500 international units. Then lignocaine with adrenaline.
அதுதான் முதல்ல சொல்லலாம். With lignocaine with adrenaline இல்ல. Plain lignocaine, you add adrenaline separately, not the commercial 1 in 200,000. You should not use lignocaine with adrenaline. Okay? Right. So 25 ml of 2% xylocaine, plain, 1 ml of guanidinogen adrenaline, 10 ml of soda bicarb, 1500 international unit of hyaluronidase in either normal saline or linger lactate to make a volume of 1000 ml. Okay, it is not in 500 ml. You have to add all these things to total 1000 ml. Okay, that is the most dilute form which you can use, and it will help in producing a very good surface anesthesia. It is only for subcutaneous injection. It is not to be used as any other mode. It is only for subcutaneous or infiltration or injection into large areas, especially abdominoplasties and other things. We will now see what is this. This is being, what is they are applying? EMLA cream is being applied. And this is how the occlusive dressing should be applied. You know, the Tegadam IV line so it's a transparent dressing which you have to apply. And if you want to do circumcision in the newborn baby, you can do that by applying the EMLA cream and then covering it with a occlusive dressing like this. So this is how the EMLA cream looks. The 5-gram tube which contains prilocaine 2.5% and lignocaine 2.5%. So prilocaine, one of the toxicity, if you exceed 600 milligram, you may go in for methemoglobinemia. What do you understand by the term methemoglobinemia? What happens in methemoglobinemia? And what is the treatment of that?
Oxygen affinity will be more.
Oxygen affinity will be more. What is the normal form of iron in the hemoglobin, which is required for taking up oxygen?
Ferrostate, sir.
Ferrostate, Fe2. So if you convert it into Fe3, it becomes methemoglobin. Okay, it cannot take up the oxygen. Okay. So even though pulse oximeter may read normally, it will not cause the same. So the treatment is intravenous methylene blue, 1 milligram per kg body weight over a period of 10 to 15 minutes, slowly IV, or ascorbic acid. Okay, these are the two things that can be given to correctly or treat the methemoglobinemia. Now, what is this? Are you able to see some small prints that are there in that disc-like thing? Is the slide clear to see what is being imprinted on that rim of that disc-like thing?
Tetracaine. Lidocaine, tetracaine.
It is a combination of lidocaine and tetracaine, and the commercial name is Cyanira. Okay, so Cyanira is a lidocaine tetracaine TDS. What is TDS patch? Transdermal delivery system. TDS means transdermal delivery. So something like equivalent to EMLA, this can also be applied for producing surface analgesia. And these are all the various components of this particular patch. So it works by what is called the CHAD mechanism, controlled heat activated drug delivery system. Okay, so by the body heat and by the reaction of these things, it will make the drug get absorbed into this and produce a analgesia. So these are the layers of this TDS patch. Now, who introduced tumescent local anesthesia in clinical practice? Any idea? It is a person called Jeffrey Klein. He was actually a dermatology. So he used it in derma surgery from United States in California. And what are the features of tumescent local anesthesia? What are the advantages? Now there is a head in Miller textbook of local anesthesia chapter. A separate 2-3 paragraphs are written by TLA. So the technique of commonly used in cosmetic and dermatology procedures, it involves subcutaneous infiltration. Large volumes of tumescent fluid with epinephrine, very diluted forms, are used to inject and produce a firmness and swelling. Maximum dosage with this has been up to 35 to 55 milligram. This is a very important point, because we were taught in the earlier days only to use 4 milligram per kg without adrenaline of lignocaine and 7 milligram per kg with adrenaline. But nowadays, after the advent of this tumescent anesthesia, they have checked the blood levels or the total used volumes and found that even up to 35 to 55 milligram per kg, it has not produced any toxic effect, and the analgesia lasts up to 18 hours. Okay, that has been the finding that has been proved, and I have used it extensively even for all burns, contracture, and other things up to 2 liters or 3 liters also I have used for abdominoplasties without any ill effects. Okay, tumescent local anesthesia clinical effects are it produces local anesthesia only on the surface, and it produces excellent hemostasis because of the vasoconstriction. And once you inject it into the subcutaneous plane, you can produce what is called a hydrodissection. So in my institution, when I used it for more than 90 cases of severe burns, contracture, neck, where intubation problems, we used to infiltrate under the scar, and surgeon used to find it very easy to lift the scar and cut it off without any bleeding. And it acts as a heat sink, and the bactericidal effect is there in the local anesthetic composition, and these are actually hypodermoclysis. All these things are not very important. Now the surgeries where you can use it are abdominoplasty, breast surgeries, burn surgery, facelift, craniofacial surgery. These are all pressure source proctology. Some hernias also, surface hernias without a huge sac, you can manage with this procedures. Now identify this picture. What is this? Lipid bilayer is there, very good. But what is it called?
Liposomal.
Ah, excellent. Liposomal bupivacaine. Very good. This is the bupivacaine enclosed in a liposomal capsule. So this is called the so for prolonged action, especially in cancer pain, when you want to block a nerve, you can instill this drug close to the nerve, and it will get slowly released, and the action may be there even for up to 3 weeks, okay, without causing toxic levels. So liposomes are simple microscopic vesicles in which an aqueous volume is entirely enclosed by a membrane composed of lipid molecules. Structurally, liposomes are concentric bilayered vesicles in which an aqueous volume is entirely enclosed by membranous lipid layers. Of course, liposomes, lipo means fat and somes means body, and it was introduced in 1961 by Alec D. Bangham in London, England. Okay, so that is the product. Now I'll show you an instrument. You identify that. What is this?
Target control.
Target control. Any other answers? You can see 3 parts in this. What is this?
TCA, sir.
It is an infusion pump. Okay, syringe pump. It's an infusion pump. What is this? This is a laptop, computer. Okay, what is this?
TCA.
So this is CAPCEA. What is the expansion?
Patient control epidural analgesia. Computer integrated patient control epidural analgesia.
Fantastic. Computer integrated patient control epidural analgesia. Excellent. That is the answer. Okay. So this is one of the equipment that has come especially for labor analgesia. A patient can. This is one of the advances in. Sometimes they ask you in theory, what are the recent advances or modern techniques of labor analgesia? This you have to mention. Computer integrated patient control epidural analgesia. Now, what is being done here?
Block, sir.
IVRA, sir. IVRA block.
IVRA. Very good. So you can see a tourniquet is there. There is an IV line here. Tourniquet has been raised. You can see the dial which is raised, and the drug is being injected through the cannula. So it produces intravenous regional anesthesia. This is the older technique of single tourniquet method. Okay. What is the current method of IVRA? Modification done by the older technique where only one tourniquet was used to occlude the flow. Double tourniquet technique, yes. Because once earlier they used only one tourniquet and patients started complaining of tourniquet pain after 15-20 minutes. So in order to avoid that, what they did was they applied a second tourniquet here or in the arm itself. First raise the proximal tourniquet. Before that, you completely exsanguinate the limb by elevating it and then applying an S-mark bandage to remove all the blood. And with the elevated position, you have to first inflate the first tourniquet, proximal tourniquet. First thing, you have to identify a vein and cannulate it as distally as possible and keep it closed. Then elevate the limb, exsanguinate the limb, raise the tourniquet. After that, you lower the limb, inject the drug into the vein, and then after you test the analgesia that has set in, the second tourniquet will be inflated and the first tourniquet will be deflated, so that the second tourniquet will be in the area where already anesthesia has taken up. Okay, so that the patient will not feel the tourniquet pain. Okay? That is the technique of doing the intravenous regional anesthesia. Who popularized that?
Byers.
Ah, excellent. So he was August Bayer. He was the person who popularized this. What other important contribution he made to anesthesia?
Spinal.
Ah, very good. He only introduced intrathecal block. Okay, so to prove that, he asked his own assistant to inject the procaine into his spinal column, and then made demonstrated that it can produce very good analgesia for surgeon. He is actually a surgeon, so he wanted to do painless surgery. Unlike other surgeons, he wanted to do painless surgery. So he popularized first spinal, and then this is the technique he introduced also. Now, what is shown here?
Racemic mixture, sir.
Racemic mixture.
Mirror image, sir.
Mirror image, yeah.
Racemic form.
Okay, it is chiral or optical isomerism. Okay, so LEVO, because nowadays we get individual components of the mixture like levobupivacaine, levoketamine. So we get this so-called enantiomer is nothing but a optical isomer of a particular drug is called an enantiomer. Okay, so it is going to rotate the polarized light in a particular direction. Then that is called optical isomerism. Okay, so that is the thing. Then compare lignocaine with bupivacaine is a common question that may be asked in the examination. These are some of the comparisons. Potency wise, bupivacaine it's 8 times more than lignocaine. Maximum dose you use only 2 milligram, whereas for lignocaine without adrenaline 3 milligram. With adrenaline, we don't add normally adrenaline to bupivacaine. Why? Whereas we add adrenaline to lignocaine. And commercially, we have preparations with lignocaine adrenaline, but no commercial preparation with adrenaline is available with bupivacaine. You tell me the answer in the next class. Okay, toxic dose of concentration is 1.5 micrograms only, whereas toxic dose is 5 micrograms. So you can see the safety. Larger dose is required for any toxic effect. And duration action 95% is more and 70%. Elimination takes 160 minutes, only 100 minutes for that, so shorter duration. And PK onset is 8.1, this is 7.9, so faster onset will be with lignocaine. And comparing ropivacaine and levobupivacaine, these are all the, more or less they are equal in their properties. You can see the molecular weight is 274, 288, lipid solubility 2.8, but this is 30 times more lipid soluble. and protein binding is more or less equal. PK is same, and elimination half-life is 111 minutes, 157. Clearance is faster with ropivacaine, and dosage is 3 milligram per kg, whereas bupivacaine it is 2 milligram per kg. Okay, sometimes they ask you in the exam this sort of comparison question, especially in DNB, and so that is the completion of all the slides. Okay, so if you have any questions, we can discuss that. Sorry.
Participants, you can ask any question now. So far, I have not received any question in the chat box, sir.
Okay. Right.